So the BACB just released new information about who qualifies as an ACE instructor starting in July of 2026. They're further defining experts for the purposes of continuing education. And their definition is a track record of publications or 5 years of practice or 3 years of teaching. So on the one hand, this more clear definition of expertise is giving progress because we're including practice and teaching as categories of expertise, which is vastly different from some articles that have come out this year around trying to define expertise as just publications. But on the other hand, it's also giving vagueness. What exactly is a track record of publications, and why do we not have an operational definition for that specific section? Is it 1 publication, 5 publications, 10 publications? If you're in grad school and your advisor is a prolific researcher and publisher, so you get your name on 10 articles before you even graduate, does that mean you qualify as an ACE instructor on that topic, even though you have probably 0 years of practical experience under your belt? So for me, I think that the way this is currently being categorized still places research and publications on a pedestal above the day-to-day constant learning, problem solving, figuring things out, dissemination that we need to engage in as practitioners in our field. Requiring someone to have 5 years of practice in something when things are changing and evolving so quickly, it seems like a lot, especially when there's no designation of how many publications you need to have. I don't know how 5 came to be the magic number, especially because you might have someone with 5 years of experience in something and they haven't really done a lot of problem solving or figuring it out. And you might have someone with 1 year who was forced to do a ton of problem solving and they actually are more of an expert on this topic than the 5-year person. And that doesn't even bring up the issue of what about lived experience? What about all the learning that we're doing as a field to align with our ethics requirements, to engage in understanding different cultures, especially where we're learning by what lived experience people have? And that won't fit in the different categories that are now described. Thankfully, there's still the exception where you can have a co-instructor who checks the boxes. So hopefully people will still continue to incorporate these types of CE events where we're learning from others that can bring information that we need as behavior analysts to practice in ways that are affirming and honoring of our clients. But I'm a little bit nervous that people will see these 3 check boxes and kind of miss this whole, well, you could still have a co-instructor that meets the requirements that could cover this topic. But that also begs the question of, are we going to have co-instructors who check those boxes? Because if we're looking at someone sharing their lived experience, it could be a very unique experience, and someone might not have 5 years of practice or 3 years of teaching on that specific topic. So I'm really interested to see what you all think. Is this a good move for the field? I think there's definitely a need to make sure we do have quality continuing education events and that folks are learning beyond the task list. But I'm a little bit nervous that this is going to potentially make the divide a little bit worse around practice and research, where, again, research is continuing to be placed on a pedestal, and practitioners are continuing to have to prove that they know what they're doing, when in my personal experience, it has been potentially the other way around, that practitioners often know quite a lot because they're working sometimes 40 to 80 hours a week directly with their clients, and they're learning a ton of different things in those hours that they're spending practicing our science, compared to a researcher who may be very zoomed in on one specific topic. Let me know what you think.